Yeah. Since only Fermi was there yesterday and uh, only Hari has gone through the recording, the others are listening to uh, or attending the session for the first time without having any prior context. Whatever we had discussed yesterday that you are not aware of. So I'll just, in very high level summary, I'll just quickly provide an outline of what we discussed yesterday. Because today I'm going to build upon that, and it is important that you understand. You're able to relate to whatever I say. So just few quick important points that we discussed yesterday. See, yesterday the entire focus was on trying to understand what is Salesforce as an organization. We started off by highlighting the fact, or I started off by highlighting the fact that Salesforce as an organization came into being in the year 1999, which means it's been almost 25 plus years that Salesforce has been there in the market. And if we were to have an answer, as to what is Salesforce, we have to understand a couple of things about Salesforce. One, we have to understand the context in which Salesforce as an organization was formed. And two, we have to understand what does Salesforce really sell in the marketplace. If you have answers to these two questions, you can very fairly answer what is Salesforce. So that is when I provided a vivid uh, explanation as to what was the context in 1990s. When Salesforce, before Salesforce came into being, what was the context? How was the world back then? And we understood that back then internet was new to the world, and quickly, people were adopting to the internet. And because of internet, a lot of new possibilities emerged in the marketplace. People knew they could now start, okay, doing a lot of things online, and businesses can benefit from this whole new thing that has emerged. While on the other hand, while on one hand, the internet became a new possibility. The other hand, software development industry was going through a very difficult phase. Why? Because all the organizations who were into software development were facing the same problem where it was taking a lot of time to build software because of the approach, because of the way these software companies approach their software development process. That is when, some leaders of the industry decided to sit together and they came up with what they refer to as agile methodology. And that's how the entire industry underwent a change. So, what I wanted to tell you through this explanation about what is happening in 1990 is that uh, at that point in time, when internet was available for people to access to do business, and software development was going through a difficult crisis in terms of how they were developing. There was also one other thing that was happening where CRM was a new thing in the marketplace. Companies realized that they have to uh, keep customer at the center of all of their business decision making. So customer relationship management became a core business philosophy. And companies also figured out that they could use some softwares that can help them manage the CRM function better. So already back in 1990s, before the Salesforce as a company was formed, there were already software companies selling CRM solutions. But then Mark Benioff, who was an employee at Oracle back then, saw that there was a lot of limitations to the software development process and the CRM software that was there in the marketplace. That's when he came up with the idea of creating the world's first cloud-based CRM solution. Okay, so at this stage, I can guess if you are completely new to a CRM, just in case you are completely new to CRM, you would find it a little difficult to relate to what exactly is this CRM. But trust me, in few days, as we keep going through the sessions, you will be able to very clearly understand what a CRM is and why it is so very useful across the world. Okay, so Mark Benioff had his own motivations as to why he wanted to create a cloud-based CRM solution, and he had the expertise. He went on to build the world's first cloud-based CRM. Okay, Salesforce started off as a company which was offering just a software as a service, but eventually it went on to become a company that started offering platform as a service as well. Okay. Uh, Now, as I said, I would recommend strongly to you to go through the recording one more time. Once today's recording and yesterday's recording are made available to you, you please go through it. All these things I have explained in a little more detail. Okay, but then we narrowed down to the discussion that what is a platform, because it is very important to understand the concept of platform to understand what we are learning here better. Okay, so a platform is fundamentally a set of tools and technologies put together that allows us to build solutions on top of it. So you need a set of tools and technologies, okay, working together to help you build some kind of a solution. So back in 1990s, when Salesforce started off as a company, they had their own platform. They built a software out of it, and that software is what they were selling in the marketplace. Then they said, no, why should we just sell a software which is not uh, solving everyone's requirement? Every company has their own requirement. We cannot build a software that meets every company's requirement. So let's open up the platform to those who want to do some development work on the platform and build custom applications on their own. So Salesforce was one of the first organizations again who made the application development process so very easy, so very efficient that companies which used to take 2 years, 3 years time to build an enterprise applications, people were able to build such applications on the Salesforce platform in a significantly lesser amount of time when Salesforce was launched, okay, or when platform as a service was launched. Today, you can literally build and deploy enterprise scale applications globally. Okay, one of the most secure software solutions in the marketplace in just few hours. That is what Salesforce as an organization has gone on to become. So, in a nutshell, what we are saying is Salesforce as an organization is a technology based is a company which offers technology based solutions to business organizations, which is developed and delivered over cloud. Okay, so I went on to give some more examples as to what all Salesforce offers. Today Salesforce has become a much larger organization which is selling some softwares that are ready to deploy. So you don't have to do any development work. You can just start using this, okay, called Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Marketing Cloud, Health Cloud, and a lot of things. And on top of that, it also offers numerous platforms on which you can go ahead and develop solutions of your own. Okay, this is what we discussed in great detail yesterday. And the last point I said is that if you want to work on what Salesforce sells, or if you want to access and make use of the platform for your business, you need two types of experts. One, you require administrators. Two, you require developers. Once administrators and developers do the necessary configuration, that's when you will allow other employees to start using the Salesforce platform so that they can use the platform to do their business, to do their job. Okay, but administrators and developers play a very important role, and that is the point that I'm going to touch upon in today's discussion. Okay, we're going to understand the concept of administrator and developers really well before we jump on to something else. Okay, sure. In
Yeah,
this
Deepak,
regard,
I have a
yeah.
question.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, yeah,
before
please.
going to further,
Yeah, yeah, why not?
what
Yes.
is mean? Yeah, what is meant by trailhead in Salesforce?
Yeah. So that is something that we'll look at now itself. So what you do is yesterday I actually made everybody to create a Trailhead account. Okay.
So
So
it's a type of account only.
yeah, no, it is the official Salesforce LMS, Learning Management Portal. Okay, Learning
Yeah.
Management
Okay.
System. So I, in fact, have to ask all of you who have joined today to do it right now. You have to access this particular page because you will have to have an org to work with, a Salesforce instance to work with. So that you will have to create before we can get started with today's discussion. So all of you, please, those of you who were not there yesterday and who are new, please just go ahead and click on this URL, trailhead.salesforce.com, and sign up for an account. Okay, it is important for you to have a sign up for an account. I'll exactly wait for 3 minutes. You please do it, and once you have done, please let me know. If not, I'll move forward. Only thing is, if you tell me to stop, I'll stop. Otherwise, after 3 minutes, I'll move forward. I'm giving you 3 minutes time to go ahead and sign up for this account. Use an email ID which you will use for all time to come. So it is important that you use an email ID which you are regularly using.
I will try to create on tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning?
I'm currently outside. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So you're not connected with a laptop that you
Yeah.
can
I'm
work on?
connected with the mobile only. As
Okay,
of
okay.
now.
Sure, sure, sure. Fair. Others? Anybody creating it right now? So that I know whether I should wait or should I not wait and just keep moving forward.
We can move forward. Like I'm creating it in parallel.
Okay, okay, okay. So fair. Okay. Those of
One
you,
quick question. So
yeah.
this would
Go
be
ahead.
the developer course or an admin course or both?
No, see, before you do development, you have to go through the admin module.
Okay.
Okay, without knowing the platform. See, admin is all about gathering enough awareness about the platform. You have to understand the entire platform before you can go and do the development work on that. Okay, that's why this is a prerequisite for you to learn
Yeah.
development part.
You're right.
Right. So once you have created the account and in case you are not sure what to do, you let me know. Unmute and speak. This is how I want you to people to interact. Okay, at any point in time, you can just unmute and start talking. Don't wait for me to give you time for doubt clarification and all. Okay, this absolutely works fine for me. Okay. So now what we have to do is see once you have created Trailhead account, you should most likely be able to see a playground. Okay, Trailhead playground, which is accessible through this profile icon. You will go to hands-on org, and by default, Salesforce creates one org for you. You have to open that. Okay, you have to open that. You have to launch that. I'll launch one of the playgrounds that I have, which I want to use for this training purposes. Okay. So let's say I have a Trailhead or a Salesforce account, Trailhead Playground, which is this. And I'll explain you around this because we are trying to understand everything about what we are looking at today. That is the idea of how we would want to spend our time for now. Okay. Anyone at any point in time, if you have questions, please ask. Okay. So now let me uh, repeat that what is Trailhead? Trailhead is the official Salesforce learning management portal. So Salesforce says, hey, you want to learn something? I will give you the Salesforce Trailhead account for you to create a free instance and not just practice on the org, but also learn from the resources that I have given you in the form of Trailhead. So there's everything, all official documentation is here. But the challenge is you cannot really learn it on your own without the guidance of somebody, okay, someone who has seen this entire journey. Okay, that's why it really, really is important that you have okay, instructor who can guide you through this learning journey. Otherwise, on your own, it will be really difficult for you to do it on your own. Trust me, I have been training for 16 years overall and 5 years exclusively in Salesforce. So I know, okay, with that conviction, with that clarity, I know how difficult it would be if you don't do it under someone's guidance, it will be really difficult to get it done. So I'll tell you when and how to use the Trailhead platform. For now, all that I want is you create an instance and open that Salesforce instance here. Okay. Now, okay. Anybody, okay. If you have any questions, please ask. Now, second thing is, so what are we looking at when I say, okay, this is an org. This is what Salesforce sells in the marketplace. People purchase or companies spend money to purchase this particular thing which we are accessing for free. And I'll show you maybe just for your awareness that this is the official Salesforce website, www.salesforce.com. If we go in here and say, okay, let's say I want to purchase Salesforce platform licenses. So when I click on this, you will see, okay, Salesforce promotes its product and tells what all it has and offers and stuff like that. But you can also see that Salesforce, okay, I don't know whether they have put the pricing on this page or not. Yeah, not here, somewhere, okay, on the platform, you will see that Salesforce says that if you want to use the Salesforce platform, you have to purchase licenses from it, and each license would cost you $25 per user per month. Okay, so that's a lot of investment per user. If you have 100 employees or 1,000 employees in your organization whom you want to use Salesforce, so a lot of money has to be invested in getting the license. But anyways, the idea is what companies pay for that exact same thing you are accessing for free. Okay. So can you actually use this for real world business entities? The answer is no. Though Salesforce gives us the org to explore everything about this platform, it has put two very serious restrictions on what one can do in this platform. One, it is giving us just 5 MB of storage, 5 MB, not GB, 5 MB. Okay, so if you populate this with 2000 odd records, this 5 MB will be consumed. Okay, so you cannot do anything much beyond that. That is one major restriction. The second thing that Salesforce has imposed a restriction on is it says that, hey, only 2 people can log in and explore this, not anybody and everybody. Only 2 people can log in and access this. So therefore, this cannot be used in the real world, this free org that we are looking at. But everything that is part of the platform as a feature, almost everything is available here for us to access and explore. Okay, so our job here is to understand this entire platform. What is it that Salesforce has developed? What is it that it is selling in the marketplace? What is that the companies are paying Salesforce for? And what can be done on this platform that Salesforce has created? So we'll try and explore every little aspect of this. So rightly said, when you asked me this question that would this be an admin training or a development training, my answer is very clear that until we understand the platform in its entirety, to begin with, we'll not be able to programmatically develop anything on this. So the first couple of months that we are going to invest time is all about building platform awareness. So you would, if your question is, let's say I want to be a developer, should I also learn admin skills? I would say yes. Because a developer needs to know everything about the platform for him or her to be able to develop effectively or develop whatever he or she wants to develop here, keeping everything about the platform in view. And there is nothing called admin skills which is exclusive. So what you're learning is you're learning about the platform and how you can use the platform to provide access to a lot of people. That is what admin skills is all about. Okay, so we'll get into the details of admin and all of that in a while. But for now, if you have access to this, let's understand what we are looking at. So point number one. Yeah.
Just a question.
Yeah.
I
Why?
got it. See, admin is a prerequisite. See, all the navigations
Mm-hmm.
are the access and all those, right?
Correct.
But what about what is the end goal? Like the training will be stopped at the admin, or like, see, most of the times, right? When the Salesforce training, we have the admin training or the developer training. So that is the reason I was asking.
Yeah.
So once we,
So have you undergone any training so far? No, right?
I'm a MuleSoft developer. I know a little bit of Salesforce, but I did not take any Salesforce training.
Okay. So even this platform, so MuleSoft is different again, right? So you don't
Oh,
access the core platform, CRM platform, and you don't.
oh, we
Yeah.
do a lot of Salesforce integration. I know some of the navigations and how to look at the subjects query,
Right.
subjects insert upsert, but I did not do any administrative or
Formal training.
development work.
Okay. Fair. Got it. Okay, then that's good. Okay, you come from a very relevant background. MuleSoft. For how long you have been a developer
6
in
years.
MuleSoft? In MuleSoft? Yeah.
6 years.
Yeah, that's quite some time. Oh, you have a lot of awareness about the platform then. Okay, so that's fair. So the idea is, Yugender, that generally, okay, how we start off is we start off with the admin part. It goes on for a certain duration of time, and once we finish off, we move on to the development part, which is all about Apex and classes and triggers and all of that. Okay.
Sure.
So in this regard, point number one, what we are now looking at, let's call it the front side of the platform. Okay. Though it is not technically accurate, this is not how we call it, but this is what we could refer to as the front side of the platform. Whereas through this particular icon that we have here called the setup icon or the gear icon, we could go to the back side of the application of the platform. So this is the front side of the platform. This is the back side of the platform, let's say. Okay. So what do I see and what can I do on the front side of the platform? So what we are currently looking at is what exactly is an application in Salesforce. So this is how, okay, an application would look like. And this is what you will have to learn how to develop. So this, okay, application name is here. And the application as it looks like is a collection of tabs. There is a home tab, there's an accounts tab, there's a contacts tab, so on and so forth. There are so many tabs which are part of this particular application. Now, what are these tabs? What do they represent? We'll understand as we go along. But okay, for now, we can see that there are different tabs, each one of them opening different functionalities. Now, there is a separate page. This is a page, and this is what we refer to as an object. So, anyways, once you start getting aware of all the details about them, all these, you will understand why it makes absolute sense for companies to have applications like this. Okay, so we'll see that as we go along. So let's say sales is one of the application, and then there are other applications also which we can launch through this icon called App Launcher. So let's say when I click on all the options, I see that there are so many applications within my org as of now. Let's say e-bikes is one, and e-bikes 2, and certification app 3. These are the three apps that I have added to this org, but everything else was out of the box. So what we are saying is Salesforce provides some applications out of the box. The moment you create you create an account here, or the moment you access get a licensed org like this, you will see there are already some pre-installed applications on that. For example, let's say when you buy a smartphone, okay, so the smartphone already comes with a lot of applications installed on it, and on top of that you can install applications, okay, from either the Play Store or uh, okay, Apple Store, the okay, iOS, for iOS environment. Now, uh, in Salesforce, when we purchase an org, we get a lot of applications out of the box. And you can always, just like the way you do it from an app store or a Play Store, you can always go to what we refer to as an app exchange in Salesforce. and download any application that is readily available out there, which can help you uh, okay meet your requirement, or you can custom build any application that you might want for your organization. So let me show you what a custom application could look like. So just as we have a sales app which we have looked at, let's imagine here's an organization, here's a custom app built for a certain organization called certification app. So we are having a certification app. We are again seeing that there are a set of new tabs here. There is training program tab, training delivery tab, and all of that. A lot of relevant tabs. And this particular application was not there when the org was accessed for the first time. This entire thing has been built, okay, keeping in consideration the requirement of managing the certification process of the employees of an organization. Okay, so the long story short, and then there is one other interesting application also, which you can also take a look at. So not just the kind of applications that I showed you, here's also a very interesting application that we can see. Okay, so this is called an e-bikes application, which allows us to create pages like, or which has a page like this. Let's say we can also create something like this, where you can see it gives us the option to explore all the products that this e-bikes is offering. And if I click on one of these options, I get to see the details here. Okay, so may look like a very ordinary feature, but takes a lot of development work to be able to build something as wonderful as this. Okay, so in the long run, you will also be able to learn how can we build applications like this. Okay, custom applications, specific. You anything that you can imagine, okay, that can be built on the Salesforce core capabilities, you can build those applications here. Okay, so each of these applications, call service, sales, and all of that, have their own unique, um, uh, let's say, use cases or functionalities which are meant to solve certain business problems. And one at a time, we'll learn all of that going forward. Okay, so now try and understand this. Let's say I join a company which is using Salesforce. Let's say I'm a sales professional, I'm a sales executive or sales manager. Now, I don't want to get into the technology side of Salesforce. I don't want to understand what this is, okay, how is it built, how to configure. I am least interested in all of that thing. What is my requirement? I want to access the org. I want to see my data. I want to manage my entire sales team through this particular org. And I want to continue to use this for the growth of my business. So I want to be an end user of the applications that are there on the platform. Okay. And along with me, all my team also will be end users of this platform. So, as end users in an organization, the end users would want whatever applications will help them do their job better. Those applications is what they want. They want the right access. They want, it to be having all the functionalities they would require to do the job. Okay. So, now who will build these applications? For example, as I said, let's say the requirement was to, there are a set of employees in the L&D team who wanted a application called certification app. Okay, now who will build this application? This is where developer's role comes into picture. Okay, so a developer is someone who on the Salesforce platform can develop applications, custom applications like this, first by exploring the point and click tools that the Salesforce platform provides. So when I say point and click tools, these are tools available or made available to you by Salesforce, which does not require you to write a single line of code, and yet you can build really good functional applications. But there are limitations as to what can you do declaratively or using this point and click tools, and that's where whenever you are not able to achieve a certain functionality using the available point and click tools, you will go on to use programmatic skills of developers and of development and add more functionalities programmatically. Okay, so fair. So We have discussed number one, that every business would want to use Salesforce because end users or employees of the organization can use the Salesforce as end users and do their day-to-day job. So somebody is a sales manager, he would want to use the Salesforce as an end user. Somebody is a HR manager, they would want to use an application like this. And a lot of members, and not just managers only, a lot of employees within the organization would have a need to use different kind of applications. Okay, and as I say, let's say tomorrow you imagine that we want an application to manage the canteen services of the organization. You can also quickly come and build a custom application for that also. So whatever be the requirement. So, so this ability to build applications on this platform is what you will acquire by the end of the admin training itself. So admin training would include uh, being aware of the entire platform as well as being able to develop the applications using the point and click tools. So if end users would use the applications and developers will develop the applications. Okay, what is the role of an administrator here? So try and understand, an administrator is that single person who has complete authority over this organization, org as we call it. Okay, Salesforce org as we call it. That person, in other words, referred to as a system administrator, will have complete control over who can log into this org and who cannot log into the org. Once they log in, what features they will have access to, what features they'll not have access to, what applications they can see, what applications they cannot see, what tabs they should see, what tabs they should not see, what data they should see in this, uh, let's call them objects for now, the objects, and what data they should not see in the objects in the form of records. Everything is managed by the system administrator. Okay, so a system administrator who is someone who has a clear and complete understanding about the platform, plus he has the complete authority on the platform to manage user access, to manage security, to manage uh, let's say data, and to manage deployment and a lot of things that generally comes with a typical platform management. Okay, so that's how administrator and developers role are different. Again, we'll get into more details as we go along, but where would then the administrators and the developers do anything? Because end users will come here, access the application that they want, do their job, save the data, fetch the data, and do whatever they want to do by using the application. But developers and administrators are the one who will go to the back side of the platform. Okay, don't use these terms anywhere. Front side and back side is not a technical term, and we never talk about this in any ways because it's only day one and day two for you. I'm using these terms to make it easier for you to see the difference. Otherwise, this is not technically accurate. So the setup side of the platform, the back side of the platform, is how did I navigate here? I came here, I clicked on setup, and it brought me to this particular side. So here you can see you still have access to the app launcher, but if you click on any of the app, it will again take you to the front end. Okay, but we don't want to go there. We want to see that, okay, what is there in the setup side then? So on the setup side, there are two broad things. One is what we refer to as the setup menu. This entire thing is a menu of options that we have, okay, as to what we can do. And there is something called an object manager. Okay, so we'll understand the concept of object and object managers in great detail in very elaborate fashion when we connect again on Monday or Tuesday, but not immediately. Okay, because this is a very huge concept and we have to understand it really well. Okay, so I'll not get into objects today, but yeah, we can see that Object Manager is one very interesting feature that Salesforce has provided. It gives us a lot of objects to begin working with, almost 174 objects out of the box. Okay. And then it also gives you access to a lot of features on the platform, just which you can just access by navigating through this menu and just saying that, okay, let me see if I want to access something like, okay, the users data. Okay, how many users are there on my org? So if I come here, I can see that, okay, there are so many users as of now in the org. Okay. And I can, as an admin, completely control what to do and or what not to do here. There's a lot of concepts we'll talk about: users, queues, profiles, permission set groups, every little thing that we see here. A good number of these features we'll explore in great depth as we go along. Okay, which is what would be required from a uh, admin, okay, stage 1 learning process. Okay, because again they have, Salesforce has something called advanced admin, which is typically meant for those who are going to devote their entire career into administration of the platform. But if you are someone who wants to learn Salesforce and then expand into different possible roles like development or consultant or being an expert in Service Cloud, Sales Cloud, or something, then just learning the development, the admin part that we would learn over next few weeks is good enough. Okay. Now, so okay, so this is where the uh, admins and developers would come and do all the backend configurations, development part. And once all these things are properly configured and set, the front end users can access whatever applications they want, access whatever data they want, and they can do their regular job. Okay. This is where uh, okay, administrators and developers are different, and these administrators and developers are the first few people who will work on the org before the end users are given access to the platform, and okay, end users can come and use the Salesforce solutions. Okay. Even if, let's say, for example, an organization decides to um, let's say use a out of the box solution like Sales Cloud or Service Cloud, there may not be any immediate requirement of developing something there. Okay, if you are okay with all the standard features and standard functionalities, an administrator would still be required to configure the org in a proper way before, okay, the development work can begin, or before the end users can come and start using. Okay, so now I'll pause here for a minute and I'll give you all the option to ask any questions that you might have based on everything that we have discussed yesterday and today. Okay, first take a pause, okay, think through thoroughly and ask any vague random questions that you might have. You can ask any questions, as I say. Okay, I will be willing to answer. It could be very fundamental, it could be very, okay, say sometimes you might also jump into new things without having the necessary context and foundation or basic, and you can clarify all those questions from me. I'll be more than willing to answer those.
So these days, are they hiring only administrators? Like I thought someone was telling like they need the development training as well.
Yeah, so see, it's not true that uh, companies out there are only hiring administrators. There's uh, a demand for the administrators, but there's a lot more demand for developers. In terms of uh, earning potential, also developers get to earn a lot more than administrators would do. Administrators do earn, but they have to be in some senior positions, because what happens is, for example, I'm a system admin, so I have got 20 years or 15 20 25 years of experience, so I'm appointed as a system admin, and I can actually hire 10 odd, okay, junior administrators, make them delegated administrators and give them certain functionalities, and I can get the job done. So these mid-level administrators and a lot of administrators are not required in organization. You need somebody or a couple of people who are expert as administrators, and they can get a lot of work done from system admins who undergo this training and get into the organization. So I would say It is in fact true that the demand for developers has always been high over administrators. Development is a more valuable skill set also, so people tend to earn a lot more in a development role than in administration.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Others,
how about Apex? Are they still using Apex? Looks like people moved forward from the Apex to the new Angular JS or React JS, something for the
uh,
front end, right?
no, yeah. So you would understand if I answer this. Others may not understand, but just I'm answering this one question. If you don't understand, it's totally fine.
Sure.
See, uh, uh, generally what happens is, this is also a good, interesting question. Let me explore this a little. Okay. Everybody try and understand this. It is very important that you have all these perspectives in place before you can start learning Salesforce. Let's spend a couple of minutes understand the very word application. See, in its simplest sense, an application is considered to be a software that is developed to serve a certain purpose. Okay, this is what typically Salesforce, an application is in its simplest sense. So that's why you have something called a WhatsApp application, you have something called a IRCTC application, you have something called a banking application, you have something called a, okay, event booking application. There are different applications built for different purposes, right? All of them are softwares that are developed to serve a certain purpose. Okay, serve a certain purpose. But technically, an application is, okay, an application is made up of three fundamental layers. Okay, so that software is made up of, okay, three different layers. Any application, you pick up any application, we can, okay, see that it has three distinct layers. One is called the front end of the application. One is called the back end of the application. And the third one is called the database layer of the application. Okay, so front end is one layer, back end is one layer, and database is the third layer of an application. So whether it is WhatsApp, whether it is IRCTC, whether it is Make My Trip, whether it is, okay, Robinhood, or any application that you might have been using for any of the purposes, all those applications can be uh, we can see that all of them include these three layers. So for example, let's take WhatsApp, because that is a universally, okay, popular application. Now, if you look at WhatsApp as an application, uh, even if you have, let's say, installed the application on your phone, you are simply accessing what we refer to as the client side of the application, okay, or front end of the application, but not the entire application as such. Though, okay, for your client side to work, it will make use of the backend and the database layer, but you're not actually getting access to the backend layer or the database layer of the application. All that you're getting access to is the client side of the application, which is installed on your phone. Backend is so in a way, what is the front end of an application? The front end of an application is what the layer through which the user interacts with the application. Okay, the user interacts with the application. So this is where what Yugender just asked, a lot of technologies are used to develop the front end of the application. So traditionally, if you have learned any development, anytime web development, you know that we fundamentally use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for front end development. That is how it has been for years now. But then, okay, people realize that no, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are the, okay, fundamental technologies we'll use, but they are not just using the raw version of them, or the vanilla versions of them is not good enough. So we need to create frameworks that can make the front-end development faster, efficient, less time taking, more productive, and all of that. And that's how they created what they refer to as frameworks. So one such framework was React, one such framework is Angular, and a lot other things. In Salesforce, they have their own framework called LWC. Okay, we'll talk about these things in greater detail later. Then, uh, if you look at the backend of a uh, application, the backend, or otherwise called as the server side of the application, see, for example, you are also using WhatsApp, I'm also using WhatsApp, and there are at least 2 billion people on the planet, 1/4 of the planet literally using WhatsApp. Now, when you access WhatsApp, you are requesting for a different thing. I'm requesting for a different thing. Somebody else is doing something else on the application. Somebody is sending a photo. Somebody is receiving a message. Somebody is changing their profile pic. Somebody is looking at their history. So there are a lot of things people are doing with the WhatsApp application on their phone. So in the backend, there is a layer of the application which constantly keeps receiving requests from people like us who are the end users, because we are using the client side of the application. The backend of the application keeps receiving requests from all the users, on that particular server side, as we call it, and it knows what to do with that request. So you say that I want this feature on the application. How do you say that? You just tap on a certain uh, button or a feature that is made available there, and immediately you get access to that particular feature because the backend has responded to your request. Okay, so a lot of things happen in the backend. We don't want to get into all of that for now, but there is what we refer to as the backend of the application for all applications, which is where you configure the security of it, you configure the authorization authentication process, you configure the routing process. A lot of things happen in a typical backend. Now those things were conventionally developed using technologies like Java, or Python or C, C++, and all of those backend languages were used to build the backend uh, of applications. Okay, and database layer of an application is that layer where the actual data that the end users write in the application goes and gets saved. Okay, so this is the layer which is primarily built using, let's say maybe MySQL, or you call it MongoDB, or any of the database technologies available out there. Okay, so this is conventional thing. This is how applications have always been built and worked. But in Salesforce, what they do is, trust me, I have been training on full stack development also using Node.js and MERN stack as we call it. And I know what is the amount of work one has to do if one has to build a full stack application using MERN. What Salesforce has done is it has taken away 80% of that work, and it's just saying that, hey, you do 20% of the work, 80% of the work we have already taken care of. You just do just 20% of the work and you will be able to have a world-class application at your disposal. Okay, so that's a lot that Salesforce has done. So now coming back to your question, so what Salesforce says is, hey, you don't have to bother about creating a database, integrating the database with our Salesforce platform, because Salesforce has its own inbuilt database that is integrated to the platform. Two, the backend development need not use any conventional languages like Java, Python, and all. We have our own programming language called Apex, which is what you will use to primarily configure the backend logic. Okay, so Apex is only used for backend logic or server side development. Front end of the Salesforce can be customized using LWC, though Salesforce still says that, hey, you don't have to do much of front end development. Most of the front end development we have already done it, but on top of that, you want to customize and use your own stuff, you are always welcome to do that. We are giving you a framework called LWC. But on top of that, also Salesforce has done to certain products, not everything. Let's say in Commerce Cloud and all, you can go ahead and use React and Angular as well. React only, not Angular as of now, as I'm aware. You can do front-end development there also. Okay. So coming back, why are we discussing about applications? Because see, you have to understand that what Salesforce is selling you is a platform license which has some pre-built applications, and you can build more applications here by literally doing 20% of the work that people generally do to build applications in a very short time in the easiest manner possible. That's why all major companies across the world are uh, understanding the value of Salesforce and adopting Salesforce for years together. Okay, Salesforce, which started off 25 years ago, has become one very big technology company uh, in the world. Any more questions? Please feel free to ask.
Yeah, I have a question, Deepak. Like
Yeah.
in this course, entirely you covered only administration part, or are you covering development part also
So,
in
as I say,
Salesforce?
the entire program will be developed, divided into uh, two sections, or let's say, okay, two parts. Part one would be
Mm-hmm.
admin. Part two would be development. Okay. So for the part one, none of you need to know any programming language. Everybody is eligible to learn part one of the program, which is the admin part. Part two of the program, only they should take up those who are keen about becoming a Salesforce developer, a software developer in Salesforce technology. Only they should go through the part two. Can one directly go to part two? And the answer is no. If you have not undergone any formal training in Salesforce before, then you cannot directly learn part two. Part one has to be covered. Otherwise, you will not be able to understand what the platform is all about. Okay. So here in our organization, what we are doing is we are giving you the option to actually register in part one only for now, if you want to, or you can directly register for part one and part two at the same time. Okay, so when I say part one, it is admin, part two, it is development. So we'll start the batch now, we'll go through the admin, and then we'll go through the development part. That's how it is currently uh, planned. Any changes in that? You can always discuss with Karthik on this. Okay. Yeah. Any more questions, anybody? On anything
Okay,
that we
so
have
just
discussed so far? Hmm.
yeah, just you can start with the administration and part only as of now.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yes. Yeah.
what
So
about
we have,
development? Yeah, so
well,
I have a question like these two are you can do in parallel, or how
no,
can
one after
you
the other only. One
combine?
after the other only.
Okay. Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, okay. Anybody? Any other questions?
And I have one more question, like in the first slide, I mean previous slide,
Mm-hmm.
uh, one is mentioned like different cloud names,
Correct.
something.
Correct. Correct.
Uh, yes. Can I know what is the difference? What are those clouds?
Yeah.
Is
So I have
this part of
elaborated on
sales?
this in my yesterday's session. So you go through the recording once for sure. You will get more idea. But I'll give you a high level view. Okay. For now, for sure. Okay. See, let's understand. So when Salesforce built the platform and it said companies can come and start using this, different companies wanted different things from the platform. Somebody said, I want to use the platform features to manage the sales function of my organization. Somebody said, I want to manage the service function of my organization. Somebody said, I want to use the platform to build an online store. So different companies had different kind of requirements. So what Salesforce said is, it said, okay, let me create a package. Okay, so you want sales related features, right? So I'll give you a package called Sales Cloud. You open this package, you will see all the features that you want to manage your sales function. This package may not be interesting for someone who does not want that thing. They may be using something else. For them, they want a different package which they can use to primarily provide support to their customers. So, customer support services. So, that is where that kind of an organization would want something called a service cloud, because service cloud is a package which will give them access to all the features, okay, that they require for service function. See, uh, as you dive deeper into Salesforce, you'll understand how organizations do business, how different organizations have different requirements, how those requirements can be met using the Salesforce features. But there are so many possibilities on the Salesforce platform, so many options available and features available on Salesforce platform, that every company would not want to use all of them and get interested in all of them, because Salesforce says what? Okay, you tell me what you want. I'll give you exactly something on those lines, which will also help you in terms of saving cost as well as effort. Okay, so you don't have to purchase Commerce Cloud when you know you're not going to use the Salesforce features for building an online store. So things like that is what you want. Okay, what Salesforce does is it it creates different packages for different kind of industry. So for example, Health Cloud is something that Salesforce has built, which is exclusively useful for health industry, healthcare industry. So there are different industry specific solutions. There are different business function specific solutions, which they are calling clouds. But if you don't bother about anything, you want to use the core CRM platform and do your stuff, you are welcome to do that also. So the what we are now looking at is the core CRM platform, or the Salesforce platform as they call it. So once you have access to this, you can build anything in this. But that development effort, if you want to save, then you can directly go for one of the packages.
Yes, I got it. And
Yeah.
I have one more doubt, like
Mhm.
it is developed for its own cloud, or it is using like any AWS or Azure or Google Cloud.
Correct. See, correct. See, yesterday we were talking about the concept of software as a service, platform as a service. Okay. So what is software as a service? Where I will build the software and I'll give you on rent. You pay for the rent for the software, and I'll take care of the performance, maintenance, upgradation, everything at my end. So that is what software as a service means. Platform as a service basically means that you can take my platform and build softwares for the way you like it. That is what platform as a service means. Third one is called IaaS, or infrastructure as a service. Okay, infrastructure as a service. Now, this infrastructure as a service is what major players like Google, Amazon, and Microsoft are able to do for the entire world. So if the question is whether Salesforce provides infrastructure as a service, the answer is no. Is Salesforce having its own cloud, or is it availing the cloud services that AWS, Google, and Microsoft are selling? The answer is yes, it is using those and providing you the platform and the software as a service. Then, any other questions? Okay, so now here's the last thing for the day. Let's see. Uh, This week we started off the training because again the batch, everybody has to enroll, everybody has to sync with the new timings and all of that. That's why we said that this week we are going to start off the batch and we'll have just 1 hour of training on Thursday and 1 hour on Friday. But from the following week, there would be a rigid schedule, fixed batch will not allow people to come here for trial and just walk in and walk out whenever they want. I'll have a clearly defined batch with whose responsibility I'll take, and also, okay, make them accountable to learn and go through the process. So from the following week, things are going to be different, not the way we are doing today, which is primarily an open session for anybody to come and attend and take that final decision about joining the batch. Okay. Beyond this, we'll not do all of this, and we'll go very rigidly through the program. Okay. So I strongly encourage all of you to, okay, take a clear call about the program and get enrolled so that the learning can happen in a very different mode and momentum altogether. Okay, so these two sessions, as it is, I have not got into any core concepts as such, though everything we discussed yesterday and today are very relevant and very foundational. But I have not got into any core skill sets, core concepts which could affect someone's learning in admin as such. Okay, so nevertheless, please make sure that whatever you have learned yesterday and today, you are good with that and you can use this learning going forward in understanding things better. Any question before we leave? We'll stop here. We'll not get into anything more. Anybody has any questions? Then please tell me. Else, I'll let Karthik speak to you before you can leave.
I have
Is
one more
Monday's
last
session?
question.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Yeah,
Is Monday's
sorry.
session
So,
starting same time?
Yeah, for me, you can just talk on this to Karthik. Okay, Karthik, you
Ah,
please clarify these questions to Fami. Okay.
yeah, because I've signed up for both, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
very looking forward to it.
sure,
I've
sure.
joined,
Nice of you, Fami. Thank you, thank you,
and thank you very much for explaining. You explained it really, really well, in a really, so people understand. I really enjoy it. Thank you.
thank you, Fami. Thank you. Yes, Sudhakar, what was your question?
yeah, so at the end of the course, I mean, after completion of
Mhm,
administration and the development
mhm,
course,
mhm,
so
mhm.
what are the different jobs we can able to get outside market, or what are the different companies we can get the offers
See, you
based
can
on the experience?
get a job in any company which is implementing Salesforce. Okay. So you can work for a company like Infosys, TCS, Deloitte, or you can directly work for the parent company Salesforce, or you can work for any third party company which has implemented Salesforce. For example, let's say Air India has implemented Salesforce. Okay, let's say some okay major companies in India have adopted. Mercedes has, I think, adopted Salesforce. So you can work in these companies also where they would require Salesforce expertise. Okay. So what kind of roles you will be eligible for? See, after the admin training, you will be eligible to start applying for admin job, provided you want to build a career in that. If not, you are interested to build a career as a developer, then you have to wait for the development training to happen and start applying for jobs as a developer. Okay. And what also is interesting about this training is that once you learn the admin part, then you become eligible to learn any other products on the Salesforce platform, like Data Cloud, like Health Cloud, like Service Cloud, like Sales Cloud. You can be an expert in one of the clouds because, see, this training is not about any specific cloud. Okay. But this program will make you eligible to learn any of the clouds. Without a foundational awareness of the platform and its capabilities, you may not be able to learn any particular cloud as such. So this program will help you learn any cloud. So you should ideally aim for learning the admin part and then try and build your expertise if you are interested to work on some specific cloud. If not, you can always uh, benefit from both admin and development training if you want to build a career as a developer. Okay, sure.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so if, yeah, Karthik, would you want to talk or, okay, okay. So I think we are done for day. Okay, all of you can leave. Karthik will coordinate with all of you and okay, we'll have a proper schedule and proper rollout from the following week. Okay, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak. It
Sure.
was a very useful session.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.